And I know if Child Protective Services took your children, I know they didn't just wash their hands of you. I know, and Miss Wimmer probably knows too, that they give you an attorney over there, and they have conditions for you to follow through. And if you have mental health issues, they get somebody to help you with your mental health. If you have parenting deficiencies, they help you with that. Basically, Child Protective Services, when they take your children into care, if they don't have them placed with you, basically you have a free babysitter for an entire year to get your life together. So the fact that they took 5 children from you, it wasn't just because you're in a wheelchair, because there are people who are in wheelchairs who have their children. It's because you didn't do what you were supposed to do.
We have a single mother of 5. All 5 kids are with a relative. They've been there for about 4 years. But don't get it twisted though. This hyena is a criminal. Multiple cases are being addressed here, including possession, not sure which substance, as well as multiple felonies involving her stealing cars. The prosecutors offered this woman a plea deal of 5 years suspended, 8 years probation. Of course, she took the deal, but the judge is now asking why should she accept that arrangement she made with the state. Take a second to make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Click the notification bell for all updates. Won't waste any time. Let's go ahead and get into it.
I think she only pled to 1 case. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. And if I could address the court on our quandaries.
What is your quandary?
Okay. The PSI indicates that there's a recommendation for DDRF, but she hasn't completed the second part of that assessment. The second recommendation would be for SIMP-FREE. The third recommendation is regular probation with outpatient treatment.
All right, the court can consider all those things.
I understand. She has talked to a gentleman from Haven for Hope, and he has qualified her for inpatient treatment there. So in talking with probation, because she has another assessment to do for DDRF, we didn't know if the court was ready to rule today.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, court is calling 2022 CR 5618, State of Texas versus Cassandra Valdez. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Jason Garrahan, Your Honor.
Judith Wemmert for the defendant.
All right, and are you Miss Cassandra Luisa Valdez? All right, you're here for sentencing. You entered a plea on January 24th. According to the plea bargaining agreement, punishments be assessed at 5 years in the prison. There's no application for deferred adjudication. The state is recommending community supervision, and there's restitution. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report?
Yes, ma'am, we have.
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections to the PSI report from the state of the defense?
No, Your Honor. Not from the state.
The defense has objection to the restitution, and we'd like a hearing on the restitution issues. They're a little sketchy.
All right. So before we proceed, the question for the court is, why should I follow this plea? So before we get to restitution, why should I follow a plea bargain agreement when she has several unauthorized use of vehicles, and then a new one, I guess, that was just indicted, and I have destruction of property, and she's pled to the possession of a controlled substance, penalty group 1 gram to 4 grams. And there are several cases that are being taken in consideration. So the question for the court is, why should I follow this plea?
I can't speak for the state. This was their offer, and we of course accepted it because it is a very good offer. Excuse me. As the court probably noted in the narrative of the PSI, Ms. Valdez has had less than a blissful childhood, and yes, she is a grown adult, but we all know that what happens in our childhood often carries over to our mental and other well-being as adults. She's already lost custody of her 5 children. She has no family support whatsoever. She obviously struggles with mental health, being diagnosed when she was a teenager with bipolar, PTSD, and anxiety, and various other things. And as the court is well aware, the way that a lot of people who don't have a good support system deal with mental illness is alcohol and other substance abuse, which leads to criminal activity, that vicious cycle.
But at what point, and maybe you can answer this, Ms. Valdez, at what point it's no longer your childhood's fault, it's you making bad choices? What is the cutoff time? When we're 50, when we're 30?
Exactly. At what point will she be held accountable for what she's done? No, she can't control or change her childhood or what happened there, but now in her mid-30s with 5 kids, this woman is way above the age of ability to govern herself and be responsible for her own actions.
Because people come before me and they have mental health issues, they have drug issues. I can understand that. But what I have here is somebody who's using other people's cars, and this person is saying, and I know you, counsel, you're talking about the restitution.
Yes, ma'am.
But the fact that this vehicle has rims, tires, and built-in radio and navigation system that they're saying that was destroyed, I don't consider myself an expert, but I have brothers, and I will tell you, this $4,700 for rims, tires, and the built-in radio navigation system, that must have been an inexpensive rims, tires, built-in radio navigation system. Because I will tell you that I always do whatever comes off from the manufacturer. I don't add any extra. It is what it is. And my tires are very expensive, and they don't even have the bells and whistles that it sounds as this person has. So at what point is it not mental health? Because there are people who have mental health issues. They don't go around taking somebody's car, destroying it.
Right, I don't want to hear it. She should really be locked up. If she's able to avoid jail because of mental health issues, then jail and prison shouldn't exist. Because most people locked up can point to some sort of mental health issue or some sort of trauma. And then this attorney, I guess she's doing her job defending her client, but she's up here undermining the victims who should get restitution, not wanting Valdez to pay for anything, trying to say the victims had to have insurance. 1, insurance doesn't pay for everything. And 2, even when you have insurance, outside of paying for things they don't cover, you also have to pay a deductible whenever you make a claim on the things they will cover. To think it's okay for her not to have to pay anything for her reckless behavior at all, it's just crazy.
Sure, let me have you raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Cassandra Valdez.
Yes.
Okay, if you look at my criminal record, I lost my kids 4 years ago when I picked up my first son. The reason why I lost them is I got ran over by their dad, and I was in a wheelchair, and the state decided I was mentally unfit. So being a parent from 17 years old all the way to 31, 32, when I lost him, I didn't know what to do. I got into the wrong crowd. I thought people were my friends. I listened to them.
Okay, let me just tell you, if the other people were standing before me and they say they got into the wrong crowd and I asked them who's a part of the wrong crowd, they would say, you.
You see how nothing is ever her fault? Sounds like she's saying she's a victim in the case with the father of one of her kids who ran her over allegedly. That's certainly not cool if it's true, but CPS did not just take her kids because of that incident, especially if she didn't do anything wrong at all. She's not telling the whole story. Do you know how much they will let a mother get away with before removing the kids from her? Like, stop playing. And then when she thought that didn't work, she started blaming the crowd that she was hanging out with as if she was a kid or something. A clear case of arrested development, by the way. Ma'am, I understand you got pregnant with your first kid at 16, but you're no longer a teenager. Grow up already.
And I know if Child Protective Services took your children, I know they didn't just wash their hands of you. I know, and Ms. Wimmer probably knows too, that they give you an attorney over there, and they have conditions for you to follow through. And if you have mental health issues, they get somebody to help you with your mental health. If you have parenting deficiencies, they help you with that. Basically, Child Protective Services, when they take your children into care, if they don't have them placed with you, basically you have a free babysitter for an entire year to get your life together.
Yes, ma'am.
So the fact that they took 5 children from you, it wasn't just because you're in a wheelchair, because there are people who are in wheelchairs who have their children. It's because you didn't do what you were supposed to do.
Yes, ma'am. And now, I mean, I've realized that, and now I am in contact with them, and I do have an opportunity to be there for them and change my life.
Where are your children placed?
With their aunt.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have contact yet. And I'm not, if I follow this agreement, I'm not going to let you have contact with them yet. All right, you can go for it.
And I mean, I really hope, I mean, I know it's, you're looking at that paper and I've done a lot of stupid things, but I've learned from it, and I mean, I just want a chance to do better. I haven't had a chance, and I don't, it's not for me.
Oh, it's not for anybody. I can guarantee you. People who are over in the box right now, who are in custody, all of them are saying this is not for me.
But I need help. I do need help, and I want the help. I do.
State, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Defense?
No, ma'am.
All right. Probation, what's the wait time for DDRL?
Your Honor, right now, the wait time will be
2 years?
about 10 weeks for her. It's 4 to 8 weeks for the actual wait time, and anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks for medical clearance. So
we're looking at 4 to 8 weeks.
I would say 8 to 10 weeks.
Oh, you're saying 4 to 8 weeks. I thought you were saying 48 weeks.
No, 4 to 8.
All right. Because I was doing the math in my head. I'm just like, we're getting into federal time. All right. Is there anything else?
No, ma'am.
All right. If you were released, where would you be staying?
I got into the inpatient at Open Hope. So I have a bed waiting for me. And they actually gave me a choice between inpatient and outpatient, and I picked the inpatient.
All right.
Basically, she's saying, "Judge, have mercy on me because I'm disciplining myself." Valdez is telling the judge the program that she was accepted into, they're supposed to help her address her mental health issues and substance issues. They gave her the option of inpatient or outpatient, and she chose inpatient. I guess we're supposed to applaud her for that. Ma'am, we already know why you chose inpatient. You don't have a job, you don't have money, and you don't have your kids. And now you found out the state could pay for this program for you, which means you will have a place to live. A roof over your head, meals to eat. It's not just about her getting help. The big point here is she doesn't have the kids. So the women like her who can't manage to keep their kids, they not only lose their kids, but they lose the funding that they would normally get, like housing, and they become homeless. So if she didn't have this program, she would be on the streets. She's not just this upstanding person who knew how to discipline herself. I mean, look where she's at.
And with regards to the restitution amount, State?
Your Honor, when stated in the PSI, the state would be requesting that be ordered.
All right. And do you want to have a restitution hearing?
Yes, ma'am. I really would. I've had some interesting experiences, and I know the court has too, along the way with people claiming things that, for example, the rims and the tires and everything. If insurance paid, then he was compensated for the value of those items.
All right. And I will tell you what he's saying in the PSI is they were not a part of that. And usually the $4,500 rims that you put on your vehicle, usually the insurance is like, no, unless you let them know, hey, I have $4,500 worth of rims, which nobody ever does. And I can't believe, they actually have a business, Rent a Rim, so you can change out your rims every week. And those rims, people who rent them pay $200 a week for them.
I don't know anybody like that.
Yeah.
I have a murder defendant that did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And who cares who you know or don't know with rims? Elizabeth Warren Jr.? How valuable or invaluable you think it is doesn't matter. The point is, this woman stole their property and she should be ordered to cover what insurance didn't pay for. Insurance doesn't always cover special upgrades. I think her client should definitely go to prison. She's gotten away with way too much. And there's plenty of people behind bars doing 5, 10, 20 plus years life for much less than what this woman has been charged with over the years.
Who would have thought you could make money by renting rims to people? All right. This is the court. We'll do the court. We'll sentence you to 5 years in prison, suspended and probated for 8 years. There's a $1,000 fine. That will be probated.
All right, so the judge approved the plea deal that Cassandra made with the state, sentenced her to 5 years suspended, 8 years probation. That means she will not be going to prison unless she violates probation in the future. She will remain in jail for the next 8 to 10 weeks until they have her set up for the DDRF. After that, she's going to go to the inpatient program that approved her. She'll be there for about 180 days. 300 hours community service and then completion of a mandatory parenting class will satisfy half of those hours, 150. And then the other 150 hours will be satisfied by her writing apology letters to all the folks she stole from. She's going back to court in April to address the restitution amount to the victims. So the judge will make her pay restitution to these individuals, but the restitution amount is going to be determined at that hearing that the attorney requested to basically grill all the victims on the amount. Honestly, this sounds like a lot, but it's not. It's a sweet deal for Cassandra, and she's once again escaping accountability, playing the victim. 300 community service hours, but she's not doing anything besides writing a couple of letters that can literally be done in an afternoon and going to a parenting class. We all know a man with these same crimes would have been in prison for 10, 20 years for all of this. But let's go ahead and get the conversation started. At what age should women be held accountable and not be able to use their childhood or relationship issues to avoid accountability for their behavior? Special thank you to Carl. I appreciate you, Carl, for all of your support for the channel. Shout out to Judas Lion and Loving Society. Don't forget that you can support this channel as well. Links to Cash App and PayPal are below. Ladies, fellas, want a balanced analysis, want the truth from a woman's perspective? Then you're going to want to subscribe to this channel and don't forget to like and share.